If you have been curious about intermittent fasting for your inflammation, like arthritis, or you always feel like you have brain fog and you're bloated, you are going to love today's video training. My name is Dina Merhbi and I am a body balance coach, and I help people realign their body and mind and find the right plan for their goals, but as well the right plan that fits their bodies. So today I want to talk about intermittent fasting, and it was a question that came up yesterday in the private conversation about intermittent fasting and inflammation. So we look at intermittent fasting. If you want to know a little bit more about it, you're curious about it, I did a lot of other videos about it. So just comment right below saying, Dina, I want more information about intermittent fasting, and I will share with you the previous videos that I did. And as well, if you have any other questions about intermittent fasting or any other diet that you're curious about, just post below which one you're curious about, and I'm sure I have a video on it, or your topic is going to be the next video training right here. So let's break it down. There are different types of intermittent fasting, and I don't want to get into the detail about it, but the aim behind it is what studies have shown, studies done on rats, when rats have been put in a system of intermittent fasting, we have seen that there's a decrease, for example, in weight, but as well in inflammation. However, we did not bring these studies yet to humans, but some humans have said they benefited from this change. So, there's different types of intermittent fasting. There is, for example, the ones where people are maybe fasting for 14 hours a day and eating the rest. Others are fasting for 16 hours, 20 hours, or maybe there's people that are doing 2 full fast days that are not on consecutive days. So they're very different formats, but we've seen they're mostly the same benefits that we've seen with the rat population, and we're trying to see with different studies how it's creating an effect for humans. Now, the one thing I want to kind of get out there, okay, is whatever study has been done on humans, we've seen that it can create the same change in weight loss as any other diet, okay? But now we're talking about inflammation, okay? And when we're talking about health issues like inflammation, diabetes, arthritis, we want to dig a little bit deeper to make sure we're bringing a good change and not making things worse. But before we continue this video, there are contraindications for anybody who is curious about intermittent fasting. If you're on medication for diabetes, for heart health, for blood pressure, you need to make sure you talk to your doctor, you seek a health professional that is certified if you're curious about trying intermittent fasting. Number 2, if you have a history or if you are suffering from anorexia, bulimia, disordered eating, binge eating, orthorexia, body dysmorphia, you should not be doing intermittent fasting because it's going to create the same system of dieting effect and bring you worse in your eating disorder. And if you are recovered eating disorder, do not go any different type of diet unless you follow somebody who is specialized in eating disorders and seeing if it can benefit you. Number 3, women, if you're pregnant or you're breastfeeding, no intermittent fasting. And as well, if you have a lot of inflammation, if you have a lot of hormonal disturbances, actually, intermittent fasting is not recommended. So now I got all that out of the way, giving you the contraindications, and let's talk about inflammation. What is inflammation? Number 1. Inflammation is something in your system that is reacting. Okay, it's like sometimes your body might be swollen, you might be suffering from brain fog, you might have digestive issues, you might have bloating, you just are not feeling good. And for example, you might be saying that you ate well all day, but you're just always swollen. You can get arthritis from this. There's Crohn's that comes out of this. There's many things where inflammation, chronic, can bring diabetes, can bring heart disease, can bring blood pressure. So we do want to talk about inflammation healing. Now, what some studies have shown with intermittent fasting is that when you are going in that feed and famine state, and you're in that famine state, you're actually producing less of those pro-inflammatory molecules that keeps your body in inflammation. Number 2, if you have digestive inflammation and you give your body a break, right? A break when you don't eat after dinner and you wait until breakfast, even a 12-hour fast, we've seen that it creates a break in your digestive system so you can actually eliminate everything that it needs to eliminate, relax, just like sleep, and you can start the next day nice and good. Because very often it is that. It's not necessarily the intermittent fasting that is helping the systems, the inflammation and the digestive tract. Is that if you're a constant grazer and you're snacking and you're eating right before bedtime, you are not giving your body a break to clean up, detox, and start fresh the next day. So this is one pro of, if I can say, intermittent fasting slash, not eating after dinner if you have that swelling. But again, if you're hungry after dinner, you need to eat, but you need to see how to balance your day. And this is something that I'm really amazing at. I can see how you can optimize your day if you're curious about trying intermittent fasting. So we talked about there is some benefits because you're taking a break. We're also some benefits because you're actually producing less of those, pro-inflammatory response. And number 3, it takes your body out of a stress state, okay? If you're putting your body eating, for example, 24 hours a day, it's always working, right? It's not catching that break to rest, rewind, and restart. So if you are in a stress state, constant eating can create that stress state as well. But you see, when I'm talking stress, it could be stress of lack of sleep, insomnia, sleep apnea, blood sugar instability, emotional stress, physical stress. There's so many different types of stress. So sometimes when you're doing intermittent fasting, you might actually be following a plan, and it takes stress away from planning your own meals, and it keeps things maybe simple. And for some people, that brought down the stress, which actually helps them bring down their inflammation. If you feel good with it, then you feel good with it. But number 4, and this is what I told to my friend who contacted me about intermittent fasting and inflammation. I was like, listen, there is situational inflammation. Like I talked about, not taking a break at night, giving your body to rest and reboot. If you're always constant snacking, you're not kind of giving that time of not producing those, pro-inflammatory responses. So there is a situational effect that, yes, intermittent fasting might help you shed some light about how to eat for your circadian rhythm and follow through to feel better. However, this is a big however. We cannot do intermittent fasting and keep our same eating habits if you want to tackle your inflammation. Intermittent fasting is not a band-aid for bad eating habits. You cannot keep eating the same things and just saying, well, instead of eating it in a 14-hour window, I'm going to eat all my food in 6 hours and I'm going to be much better with my inflammation. It's not going to work. You're going to be eating the same amount for 6 hours. You're going to be eating all those foods that might be problematic for you, and you're struggling with your intermittent fasting, and then you're like, I'm not seeing any results. So this is what I want to share with you. Again, intermittent fasting is not a band-aid for bad eating habits, because we say whole eating, whole foods, balance, all that has to be part of intermittent fasting. However, when we talk about inflammation, okay, you need to take a step back and saying, okay, is it situational, my inflammation? Or is it food related? Did you know that there are many foods that actually can cause inflammation? That just by tackling those foods and shedding light on those foods, you don't have to go to intermittent fasting to feel the benefits. And this is where very often, and depending who you're following, some people might do an elimination diet that might be a little bit too strict and you're starving and you don't know how to cook. But there is a process, a human and fun and healthy way to start taking care of the inflammatory foods in your diet without going too drastic, because maybe there's like 1,000 foods, but there's some core ones that I've seen that has helped a lot of people with their inflammation. So instead of going and diving into intermittent fasting and just going after one plan after the next, how about looking at the foods that you're eating? How about tackling the foods that are causing probably your inflammation? Taking those out. If you want to bring intermittent fasting as a bonus, if you feel like it, we can't stop you from doing it unless, remember all the contraindications I said before. And it's only when your system is feeling better. It's only when you feel that deflation, that better focus, and you're not kind of in a haze all day, and you're not bloated all the time, and you're able to go regularly to the washroom, and you're feeling energized. Only then you want to bring the reintegration process and bring in slowly those foods that were kind of limited during a certain amount of time to actually be able to pinpoint what foods are problematic with you. Because there's no blood test, there's no skin test, there's no urine test, there's no stool test to tell you what foods are causing inflammation for you. So do not waste thousands and thousands of dollars on those tests. You can actually get results with how I've been working with my clients that suffer from inflammation and digestive upset and food intolerance. You can actually get results in 30 days And then giving yourself as well another 30 to 45 days of reintegration to better understand what foods work with you and which foods don't work with you. So imagine how simplistic that would be, so much more realistic, to better understand what works with your body and what doesn't work with your body, instead of jumping on yet another diet. Because intermittent fasting, done alone, trying to figure it out on your own, it's just another diet. It's just another quick fix when we have to find a real and lasting solution. So I really hope this clarified anybody who's curious about intermittent fasting and inflammation. And if you have any other question about intermittent fasting, post them right below. Probably have a video about it, or share another video with your topic or anything else health related. And if you're suffering from that, like the bloating and the fatigue, and you're just not comfortable in your body and you're not sure why, and you feel like you're eating well, but something is off and your memory is not good, and you have that brain fog, you feel like you're walking, there's like a cloud around you, we need to talk. These are signs of inflammation. And on top of it, if you have blood pressure issues or diabetes or thyroid issues, all those actually are signs that something in your system is not working. And with all the foods that we have, processed, not processed, there's a lot more food intolerances and allergies being developed. And we need to realize that we can develop these food intolerances at any age. Okay, we can be born with food intolerances and allergies, or we can develop them as we grow up in a certain way. And if you're kind of done with this and you want to figure it out, let's talk. This is my zone of genius, because I suffered from digestive issues when I was 33 years old, and all the tests came out negative, and I tried every single thing possible, and I found a fun and easy way to actually create that change. And now I know exactly what foods work for me and what foods do not work for me. And it's always a conscious decision. I know if I eat that, I'm going to feel like that, and if I eat that, I'm going to feel much better. And isn't it amazing to know that you have a list of choices? Isn't it amazing to be free to understand that it's not in your head, even if all the tests show everything is negative, but you know something is just not right inside? You are not alone. So many tests out there do not diagnose what you're going through, but if you're feeling it and you're struggling with it, it is real, and I can help you. So you can actually go message me, or you can also go on workwithdina.com, and you're gonna have all the information to book that first session together, because I can get you from exactly where you are to where you wanna be, using real foods, whole foods, the foods that you love. But if you have inflammation, we might have to test and try certain things and discover what is happening. And if you want to do intermittent fasting, we can bring it into a progression. But again, you're breastfeeding, you're pregnant, you have a history of eating disorders, and you're on medications. I need to make sure that everything is okay. And of course, I'm going to have to talk to your doctor so we can adjust your medication as needed. So I'm really love this question today. And if you have any other questions, just comment right below. And if you want us to work together and you want to be done with all the struggling in 12 weeks or less, message me, or just visit me at www.workwithdina.com. See you next time.